Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And joining us now here on Cats and Cosby is Lara Trump, of course, the host of My View with Lara Trump, Saturdays, 9 o'clock on Fox. And Lara, I can't believe it, to listen to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey just a few minutes ago saying, was it worth it, ICE, to come to Minneapolis, saying they instilled fear as opposed to cleaning up the streets. It's shocking.
Well, it's shocking for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's shocking because the only fear that was instilled was by Jacob Frey himself, by Governor Walz himself. You know, these people of the men and women of ICE, Rita, have been there in Minneapolis, there in Minnesota for decades, but nobody had any problem with it until, of course, President Trump called attention to the fact that we want to get rid of the criminal, illegal aliens in our country, the people who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has had an open-door policy for, the murderers, rapists, pedophiles, gang members, drug kingpins, etc. We want to get all those people out of our country, and the residents of places like Washington, D.C. will tell you whenever you had the federal government come in with the National Guard, with federal law enforcement and clean up the streets, their streets are safer. Minneapolis could have been much the same way, except for the fact that they were, told, the residents of Minneapolis were told by their own leaders, you have to fight back against this. I imagine he's probably happy to have people come back now that the streets are safer, now that there have been thousands, as I understand it, from, the ICE numbers, thousands of these bad guys that have been taken off the street. So it sounds a little bit like he wants to have it both ways, like he's probably in some terms, grateful that these people aren't in his community anymore. He doesn't have to deal with them. Of course, he'll never give ICE any credit for it. And the only person, again, who was really stoking fear within his residents was the mayor himself.
Lara Trump, it's interesting because he was like saying, blaming ICE for the damage. I also heard Governor Walz saying they need to pay, like he's planning some suit or something? And then weren't they the two leaders in control when the buildings burned down during the, quote, Summer of Love?
Yeah, and of course we remember Waltz's wife saying that she wanted to open up the windows so she could smell the tires burning and everything actually out there, all the arson that had been committed. She wanted to really feel it and smell it in their own home. It's a little crazy and sick. Yeah, I mean, they're failed leaders. And, there is a reason, Rita, where, you look around the country and all of the areas where they have the highest crime, where they have the most problems, are areas that are blue, are these areas where you have Democrats that have been in control of these cities and states for so long. Look at places like Minneapolis. Look at places like Chicago. Look at places like San Francisco, a once beautiful city in America, now just riddled with drug users, needles on the streets, homeless encampments. It's disgraceful. They have been failed leaders. They have been failing their people for so long. And so it's pretty rich to hear them try to insinuate somehow that these brave men and women of ICE who have targeted themselves, they've been doxxed, they've been threatened, they've been assaulted, are somehow the reason that their communities have had issues. They're trying to make the communities better, safer, and more livable for the citizens there. But of course, you're never going to hear any acknowledgement of that from Jacob Frey or Governor Walz.
And Lara Trump, you were RNC co-chair and did such a great job. As I'm looking at the midterms, boy, the Democrats are digging in. They had a chance to vote for funding DHS, which obviously the Department of Homeland Security also not only covers ICE, but it covers FEMA, TSA, Coast Guard. And only one Democrat, John Fetterman, said, yes, I'll vote to extend coverage for that, funding for that. Looks like we're on the way to a partial shutdown. Is this going to be the strategy as we head to the midterms?
Well, it probably is their strategy because what else do they have to run on, Rita? They're fighting against Donald Trump, and that has been basically their only platform and policy position for the past 11 years, anything against Trump. And so we know this president wants to ensure our government remains open. We know that this president wants to ensure that our great men and women of the United States Secret Service, who Eric and I are so blessed to have protect our family and the president and everybody in our extended family every single day, they're going to, be the ones who at the end of this are not getting a paycheck. Obviously we're talking about ICE agents. Obviously we're talking about Border Patrol, TSA, as you just went down the list. FEMA is the one that really gets me. We have just had major storms across the eastern part of the country. You guys there in New York, man, how much have you suffered? The suffering, I think, is still going on because the mayor there doesn't seem to be able to get the streets cleaned up and the snow off the streets properly and have done anything about it the right way. But you want to now take the funding away from an agency like FEMA in the midst of people trying to get back on their feet after these storms? Yeah, I don't know what kind of strategy it is, but the problem is they don't have one if it isn't going against Donald Trump. So they probably should have learned their lesson in 2024 about needing to stand for something the American people want. The American people want their government funded. They want these agencies up and running. And, you know, it's going to be pretty sad if we're here with another partial government shutdown. And, of course, the only people who are voting for it are the Democrats. That's not going to look good for them as we advertise that, I'm sure, from the Republican side of the aisle every single day we head towards November.
Yeah, you're right. The American public, it's not even like an 80-20. I think it's 84%, 16. You're right. The American public want to see the government functioning. They want to see ICE funded. I mean, it really is incredible. Lara, before I let you go, you have an awesome show this Saturday, and you have one of my favorite people, in addition to you, is Mike Tyson. Tell us who you got on. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, some people might remember seeing last Sunday Mike Tyson on a Super Bowl ad that was funded by the MAHA agenda by HHS and of course, the Trump administration. And his message was eat real food. So I sat down this week, and it's on tomorrow night, with Mike Tyson, with Bobby Kennedy, of course, the HHS secretary, and Callie Means, who is, you know, one of the original MAHA people who has worked his whole life to ensure that we have transparency in the food space, that we're eating real food. And we're talking with them about the new food pyramid, the nutrition guidelines, and why this is a personal thing for Mike Tyson. In the ad, he talked about the fact that obesity and processed foods, ultimately, he believes, killed his sister, that he struggled with it himself. They're revamping everything, not just, you know, as a, you know, kind of signal for the American people, but they're implementing it in our public schools, within our military. The money they talk about this saving the American people, the health that we're going to gain on the other side of people actually learning what's good for them is incredible. So I'm sitting down with them tomorrow night, 9 p.m. It is going to be an awesome show. And there's somebody else, Joe Gebbia, who at one time started a little company called Airbnb. People may have heard of it. He decided to leave this incredible job where he's made tons of money and go into the federal government because he's trying to reorganize and streamline all of the, like, 27,000 government websites, the .gov websites. Remember when Obamacare came out and the whole system crashed because they couldn't even have a functioning website? He wants to redo all of them. He wants to make it user-friendly, and he's telling us all about it and why it's going to be great for the country. So I'm excited to see everybody tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on Valentine's Day, and happy Valentine's Day to you, Rita.
Thank you very much. I'm jealous because you get to spend it with Mike Tyson and Eric, so you've got two great guys to spend it with, and RFK and the others, too. Lara, thank you so much. It's going to be an awesome show, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. I can't wait, and we love you, Lara. Have a great weekend, and happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Bye.